Hello and welcome to the program. My name is Markus Karlsson, and this week we're bringing you special coverage from the World Economic Forum currently underway in Davos in Switzerland. It brings together high rollers, politicians and business leaders, and one of them is right here in the studio, Vinit Nayar. He's the Chief Executive Officer of HCL Technologies, the IT services company based in India. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Now, what are you hoping to get out of Davos this year?
I think what really happens is that because out of the 2,500 people, only 1,000 of them are people like me. There are 1,500 people who come from all different walks of life. It helps you shape your thinking. It helps you ask the question and look at it from different perspective. From an academic's point of view, from a social entrepreneur's point of view, from a medicine point of view. The second thing it does is it connects you with a lot of people in your industry and saying, what are they thinking? What is the retailer thinking? What is the pharma guy thinking? What is the banking guy thinking?
So it's a talking shop, but that's not necessarily a bad thing, is what you're saying?
No, it helps you shape your thinking. It helps you take a decision of what do you want to do on the long term? How much do you want to invest in the long term based on how people are shaping your thinking?
I want to bring in a book that you've written about your management philosophy. It's called Employees First, Customers Second. That is a pretty revolutionary idea at this point when customers are supposed to come first. How are you introducing these ideas to your fellow business leaders?
I think it's a logical idea. I was on a panel right now where I've talked about this. Everybody is struggling because the CEO and the management team and the employees are far away from each other. So even if you have a great idea of how you're going to come out of recession, your employees are not with you. The distrust between the employee and the management is very, very large. So even if you have a great digital idea, you want to go to the emerging market, but your people are not going to go with you, where are you going to go? So the whole philosophy is that if you are not able to enthuse, encourage, enable the employees to drive your business strategy, you're not going to go anywhere. And therefore, the business of managers and management has to be accountable to the employees as much as the employees are accountable to the management. So if the managers and management start thinking that business is enthuse, encourage, enable the employees, and the employees start thinking that they have to execute the business strategy, then you suddenly have a seamless flow of a business strategy into execution, which is very, very good. This is exactly what happened in HCL Technologies. So when we adopted this in 2005, our growth rate has suddenly doubled to compared to where we were, and we've significantly gained market share, including in recession. And that's what this book is about.
But doesn't this book, though, and your ideas, don't they make other business leaders a little bit worried? Because essentially it means that chief executives, for instance, they don't have employees. They basically work for the employees and they're trying to enable their employees. As I say, doesn't it make them a little bit fearful?
I think the answer is no, because you have to think about what are we trying to do. We are trying to grow faster. We are trying to increase our market cap. We're trying to create more wealth for ourselves, let's say, as a CEO. And if the journey to do that is either a great idea, which you don't have, or an enthused, motivated workforce, which can get you there. To get an enthused, motivated workforce, if you can adopt a servant leadership or more empowered employees to get to that goal which you want to, would a CEO adopt it? Yeah, it's a logical thing to do. So if you look at Nelson Mandela, right, the South African Revolution was all about Nelson Mandela's management style, of the fact of how he empowered the people and how he empowered everybody to embrace one of the biggest transformations which we have seen in the history in a very interesting way, is because he saw the end product of his management style. So if the CEOs connect the dot between my making employees first, my making, enthusing, encouraging, enabling the employees, and the business result it will get, I think the CEOs will embrace it, and they are embracing it. Still date, nobody has connected the dots. The moment you connect the dot, CEOs would do anything to succeed, including this one.
In 2011, we saw a lot of protests against corporate greed. For instance, the Occupy movement on Wall Street. You said that your management philosophy can actually help that situation and empower people within business organizations. Why is that?
I think this Occupy Wall Street, or the protest which is going on outside the World Economic Forum in Davos here, are reflection of the fact that increasing distance and increasing frustration between what business is doing and what the people want business to do. And it is actually not that business is doing something different, because no business in the board is sitting down and we are anti-employees or we are anti-society. It's just the fact that we are not communicating, we are not participating, we are not encouraging a dialogue, and because of which there are different views to the same problem. The employee first philosophy or any of this is an inclusive growth. Mm-hmm. So why can't you throw a problem out there? Why can't you appreciate the other person's points of view? Why don't you spend a month more or weeks more in educating that person on your point of view? Because in the end, these moments are very, very important for us to understand that the days of isolated existence in pursuit of greed and profit are over. Right? The society is holding you accountable to being socially responsible. So if you're not in the business of equitable, inclusive growth, then the society is going to hold you accountable.
But do you think that your fellow business leaders, do they share the same ideas?
I think what has happened is, like the recession of 2008, right? Everybody got caught by surprise. And therefore the fellow businessmen took time, but they turned around, and nothing bad has happened to the world. That we didn't get it right the first time because it was a surprise, but we got it right the second time. So therefore we are much better prepared for this recession than the past recession. Mm-hmm. I think this whole movement about greater social accountability of the business is a new movement, right? It's a new matrix, right? So some companies like us were aware of it, and therefore we were more inclusive. But I truly believe that smart business leaders, and everybody is smart, sees the tea leaves of the fact there is a social unrest, and the social unrest is because A, lack of communication, B, there is a disparity, C, there is lack of inclusiveness, and these are the things which we can fix, and therefore the moment smart people understand that there is an opportunity for us to fix it, and there's not a large cost to fix it, right? So if we can fix it, then we can create a more sustainable business model. I think they'll create, and the more and more conversations I have, nobody's saying that's wrong. They're just saying that we have to work harder to communicate better. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll happen. We will get over this.
I want to change tack a little bit and talk about the global economy. As I said before, you're based in India, but you're present in 26 different markets throughout the world.
Sure.
How would you characterize your trading climate at the moment across the globe?
So very confusing, right? And I'll tell you why it is very confusing. When you hear the government leaders, there is an inaction and there is a crisis yet denial. And therefore, there is almost a doomsday scenario as to what's going to happen. Number two is this trumpet of the fact there's a doomsday we have been blowing for at least the last 2 years, and nothing has happened. Therefore, increasingly, I see the business leaders coming around to the fact that maybe all this crisis or the doomsday scenario which we have painted, and this could happen, that could happen, is actually not as bad as we thought it could be, and therefore the enthusiasm to do something and transform their business, despite the clouds which you see around, is happening.
So you're pretty upbeat by the sounds of it.
I'm very upbeat. I'm very, very upbeat. I truly believe this is the moment in history where you have an opportunity of either pressing the brake or accelerator. If you press the accelerator, you will be known for it. And this is the time when your competitors are pressing the brake. If you press the accelerator and think through transformation, this is the opportunity where you can race ahead and increase market share as never before.
Are you as confident about your home market, India? Because there's a lot of talk out there at the moment that emerging markets, growth in emerging markets rather, is slowing down. What's your picture of that?
I think it is true. And I truly believe that the recession will move in a cycle. So it hit US, it hit Europe. I think Asia is going to undergo recession because of a couple of reasons. Number one, that's the cycle it follows. Number two, I don't think the governments in India or in China, for that matter, are doing what they did in 2008. The panic reaction and the momentum of taking decisions out of that crisis.
They're not offering the necessary stimulus, is what you're saying.
Stimulus and taking decisions to create competitiveness, to encourage investments, to make the right investments. So every single government across the world, 16 countries across the world have gone into negative growth. The emerging markets have not, but 7% in an emerging economy is actually negative growth. So I think when the crisis hits your doorstep, I think the emerging economies will wake up, but right now they are not, and therefore I'm worried. But having said that, I think we are heading into a new normal. We are never going to ever have the nostalgia of going back to the good old days. These are the good old days. These are the days, right, where you have economy which is going to meander around low percentage of growth or a negative growth. The hopes of emerging economy are not going to be there. In this environment, which is the new normal environment, some businesses using digital platforms, employee centricity, execution excellence are going to make hay because everybody else is waiting for the clouds to clear where you are not waiting and you're doing something else. That's the opportunity here, despite the gloomy environment which we see around ourselves.
I have to say, though, that I'm getting a very different message from you than what I'm getting from other business leaders. You're basically upbeat about Europe and the United States, but maybe a bit pessimistic about emerging markets.
Yes, I am, because of the right reason. So let me tell you, in US, for example, so let me ask you, let me look at it. You have to be in my seat, right? What am I seeing? I'm seeing the reaction of the business guys, right? So I'm not worried. I don't really know what the governments are doing, right? I see what are my business colleagues doing. So the US business colleagues are very clear that they have waited enough and they need to do something. The European business colleagues are very clear that we are very fat, we need to invest in technology, we need to transform ourselves, and we need to become more competitive. The emerging markets are waiting for the storm to come in. So therefore, they are waiting to get hit. So when I look at these three scenarios, I have to be more optimistic for US and Europe from my business point of view than for emerging market where the storm is about to come. Here the storm is about to pass away, whether 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, but it will pass away. So that's the reason I'm more upbeat here and less upbeat there.
All right, Vineet Nayar, it's been great to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed for speaking to us.
Thank you for inviting me.
And with that, we're going to wrap up the program. Thanks for watching France 24.